Isn't it fascinating? Most altcoins went down in the last month, but there's clearly one outlier, and that's Fartcoin. Now, there's nothing fundamental about Fartcoin that would justify such a rally. So what's behind this? Let's have a look at some data most people are not considering. Now, I've been covering Fartcoin several times on this channel. This will now be video number 8, and the very first video was published half a year ago. It was an average performer. It came out when the price was still at 5 cents, and the way we learned about Fartcoin early was through wallet tracking. So we looked at other influencers, we looked at what are they buying and selling, and there were several influencers that got into Fartcoin at that price. The rest is of course history. The price pumped all the way to above $2, an increase of more than 4,000%. A subsequent dump followed with all of the meme coins going down, and now we are recovering, and it seems like Fartcoin is beating everything else. And the question is why? Who is buying Fartcoin and what's so interesting about it right now? Now, the first thing to note is that Fartcoin is the largest of the Pump.fun ecosystem tokens. It's got a market cap of 750 million, and the second largest has a market cap of only 128 million. So it's roughly 5 to 6 times larger. Pump.fun is of course the platform that launched many different meme coins on the Solana chain. It saw a lot of growth, but recently tends to rather shrink. Now, crypto trading as a whole tends to shrink in the last months, but Pump.fun is shrinking even faster. So at a fraction of all of Solana's decentralized exchange trading volume, Pump.fun is now declining. That decline started in December of 2024. But despite all of that, Fartcoin was able to attract almost 150,000 holders. Now, not all of those holders are created equal, right? Some of those wallets might own just a few cents worth of the token, and others might own hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of the token. So let's have a look at the on-chain metrics in a bit more detail. Let's actually see who is buying here, who's selling here, what is causing all of that price volatility. Now, what we've got on the left is the daily trading volume measured in US dollars, and it's split by different wallet cohorts. So we've got the whales, we've got large retail, medium-sized retail, small retail. And because there's so much volatility in this chart, on the right, we've got this normalized to 100%. So we can see that over time, the whales and the large retail investors tended to trade the asset less and less, and how the smaller retail investors tended to take over the trading volume. The number of token transactions tended to rather decline recently, and it seems like the accumulation on-chain has also halted to a degree. Now, this is the number of small retail investors on the left, the number of medium-sized investors in the middle, and the number of whales on the right. Now, we see a lot of growth by small retail up until February of this year. Since then, the growth has halted. We can see how the number of medium-sized investors also stopped growing at a similar time, and we can see how the number of whale investors didn't really change that much. Now, the way we make this distinction is by minimum holding threshold. So we just look at how many tokens are held in each wallet. So 1,300 tokens is roughly $1,000 worth of the token. This is $10,000. This is $100,000. So the whales bought in very early, and then it took a while for the retail crowd to catch up. But the trend has clearly shifted again since the beginning of February of this year. But then it's interesting how the price actually recovered to a degree since then. How is it possible that Fartcoin is outperforming everything else? My impression is that there is some manipulation going on. Not necessarily manipulation directly on the spot market, but via the futures. Because even though the token still gets traded on Orca directly, so that's on chain, there's 25% of trading volume over there. We've also got the perpetual futures, and that now gets a ton of leverage through Binance. There were $780 million worth of Fartcoin traded in the last 24 hours alone. And again, futures positions tend to be short-term and levered in nature. So we don't see any accumulation on chain, but there's still spot trading volume on chain. And we rather see in the last few days how the whales tended to sell. And at the same time, we see all of that short-term money pumping up the price. Then I think it's rather risky to get into Fartcoin right now. The overall market tends to rather be negative. Bitcoin tends to be bleeding down over the long term, and the altcoins tend to do even worse than Bitcoin most of the time. I mean, Bitcoin barely moved in the last month, but have a look at how many altcoins underperformed Bitcoin in the last month. This is the top 100 cryptocurrencies. Most of them did worse than BTC. And yes, there are a few outliers, and Fartcoin is the #1 outlier. But again, returns are very much skewed towards a few alts that take the gains, and most altcoins do worse. I don't think the odds are in our favor in this market. If you're picking 5 or 6 altcoins, chances are you're doing worse than Bitcoin. It's unlikely that the 6 altcoins that you're picking are among the few winners here. Another way to look at the same phenomenon is to check the Bitcoin dominance. So this is how much all of crypto is currently in Bitcoin. And this tends to go up since September of 2022. And I believe it's likely that this will continue the same way it used to be in the past. In the past, the altcoin rally only started when Bitcoin had more than 70% of the entire crypto market. People are rather scared now. Gold is going up, stocks are crashing, and most altcoins see net selling. And that's not just caused by people deleveraging, it's also caused by insider selling, by the team selling, etc. The best thing to do in a market like this is to bet on falling altcoins. It's not to try to find the one altcoin that might outperform, and especially for highly manipulated coins like Fartcoin, where there's that much leverage in the market. I think it's better to stay away. It's better to short altcoins where there's not a lot of attention. And that's what the community members here are doing, right? So what we see here on the right are short positions that are opened by various community members making money in this market. Most people lose, we tend to win. And again, that's not magic, right? We don't have any silver bullet. It's just following the general trend. And when tokens go down that consistently, why not take advantage of that? Right? The inflation is high, more and more tokens are getting printed all the time. There's really no need trying to pick the few winners in a market that's very hostile. The smaller the altcoin, the higher the volatility, and potentially also the higher the losses. If you want to join our community, if you want to know what kind of short positions I personally open, then feel free to check it out. It's down below. It's thebitcoinstrader.com. If it's the very first time over here, feel free to subscribe as well. I publish here regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. See you next time on YouTube, or see you in Premium. Cheers.